Welcome back in MMA Daily News. MMA fighters react to Jamahal Hill's UFC 283 win, Glover Teixeira's retirement, and MMA fighters react to Brandon Moreno's title win over Deiveson Figueiredo at UFC 283. MMA community reacts to Gilbert Burns' flawless submission over Neil Magny. MMA community reacts to Johnny Walker making quick work of Paul Craig. Gilbert Burns details poker room encounter with Colby Covington, and Brandon Moreno details backstage exchange with Alexander Pantoja post UFC 283.
Yeah, in reality, I think I'm too tough for my own good, too tough for my own health. I can't keep up anymore. I'm going to focus my energy on Alex Pereira on Poatan. He's going to keep his belt for a while, then go up to light heavyweight. It's an honor to put the gloves down on the same night as Shogun. I wish we were in the Royce Gracie area where we could just go no rounds and keep going in this shit, but we're not, and I'm just not keeping up anymore.
Jamahal Hill claimed the light heavyweight title and sent Glover Teixeira into retirement at UFC 283 this evening, after an opening round in which Hill successfully defended several takedown attempts. In the second, he rocked Teixeira with a huge head kick before unloading on the veteran, but Teixeira weathered the storm to take Hill down and almost sink in an arm triangle. Hill went on to have continued success with head kicks throughout the fight, opening a huge cut above Teixeira's eye thusly in the third round. In round 4, Hill landed yet another massive head kick before unloading on Glover for much of the round, as the ref watched closely to potentially stop the fight. Shortly after the belt was wrapped around Hill's waist, Teixeira placed his gloves in the center of the octagon to announce his retirement from MMA. Brandon Moreno is once again the flyweight champion after defeating Deiveson Figueiredo by a doctor stoppage TKO at UFC 283 tonight. It was the history-making fourth encounter between the duo, with Moreno now claiming 2 wins against Figueiredo's 1. Their first encounter in late 2020 ended in a majority draw. In the early rounds, Figueiredo threatened with several submission attempts. The Brazilian came close to locking in a heel hook and later a guillotine choke that Moreno both narrowly escaped. But in round 3, Moreno landed a huge left that caused Figueiredo's eye to swell profusely, and once the round concluded, forced him to retire on doctor's orders. In his post-fight interview, the 35-year-old announced that he'll be moving up to bantamweight. Moreno is now flyweight champ for the second time, having claimed the title against Figueiredo in June 2021, before losing it to the Brazilian in January last year. MMA community reacts to Gilbert Burns versus Neil Magny. When the cage door was locked behind Gilbert Burns and Neil Magny at UFC 283, only one man would leave the octagon with a victory. In this case, it was the hometown favorite who got the job done once more, earning a smooth arm triangle finish in the last minute of the first round without absorbing a single strike. After this massive win, fans on social media had a lot to say about Burns and his impeccable victory. All in all, it seems that the reactions were unanimous in their praise, which is to be expected when a fighter wins without getting hit. Gil Burns, man. Dude is just so dangerous. Feels like on the right night, he could beat anybody in the division, commented Tommy Tohold. Some fun action unfolded in the light heavyweight division at UFC 283, as Johnny Walker scored a quick knockout over Paul Craig. There was a lot at stake for both Walker and Craig heading into their UFC 283 main card bout, as 2022 saw them each go 1-1. It was Walker who had the momentum in his favor though, fighting in his home country of Brazil and coming off of a victory over Ion Cutelaba in September. Much needed win for Walker. He showed that Walker power, tweeted Stephen Thompson. The unpredictable striking of Walker is nasty, said Aljamain Sterling. Johnny Walker batters Paul Craig after he held onto a leg too long. Craig had both hands occupied and ate a hard right hand flush. Subsequent shots finished him off, Luke Thomas poignantly noted. Johnny Walker with that crazy power. One of the scariest moments of this card was Johnny Walker doing the worm again, joked Morning Combat, referencing the infamous shoulder injury suffered after a previous celebratory worm dance. This was a massive win for Johnny Walker, who looks to continue advancing up the light heavyweight rankings. It will be interesting to see how he is matched up next. Convington, who hasn't fought since his victory over Jorge Masvidal in March, is of course notorious for his controversial persona. But a select few fighters have caught glimpses of his true character and have astonished fans with tales of Colby's genuine personality. You can now add Burns to this exclusive club. At the UFC 283 post-fight press conference, the Brazilian regaled press of the bizarre experience of encountering Covington's rarely seen alter ego. "To be honest, I saw Colby 3.5 months ago. I was in the guitar," said Burns. "There was a Brazilian concert in the guitar, and I think he just left the poker room. And I was passing by and I looked in there and said, 'There's Colby over there.' And I looked at him, and I shook my head and he said, 'Come here.' And I said, 'Oh shit, it's on.' And I walked to him and said, 'Oh shit, it's on.'" Jiří Procházka wasted no time sending a message to Jamahal Hill, following the latter's title-winning performance in the main event of UFC 283.
"Congratulations. I'm coming. I'm coming!"
The UFC's light heavyweight division was thrown into flux at the end of 2022 during the lead-up to UFC 282. That event was meant to be headlined by a fight between Procházka and Gilbert Teixeira, which was a rematch of their wild fight from earlier in the year that saw Denisa dramatically claim the light heavyweight title. Jiří Procházka warns Hill, "I'm coming." Hill ended up putting on the best performance of his career to defeat Teixeira at UFC 283, but Procházka quickly took to Twitter after the event to call out the newly crowned champion. Whatever the future may hold for his title reign, Hill's victory at UFC 283 is a tremendous achievement for the 31-year-old. Sweet dreams. Earned a UFC contract on Contender Series 2019 and put together a 3-fight finishing streak that earned him a chance to fight for the title opposite Teixeira.